The worst thing you could do is turn up to an interview and you haven't done your research. And the scenario that this is the most, I guess, even more prevalent in is a job interview. If you go to a job interview and you've not done your research, boy, just know you're not getting that job. All right? Only if God comes and intervenes are you getting that job, okay? And there was actually a statistic on this, yeah. I remember seeing it. It was job interview statistics showed that nearly 50% of the applicants wouldn't get a job offer because of a lack of their knowledge about the company and where they're applying for the job, okay? I know this is true because I did it and I was in that situation. I went for a job interview and I had just come back from Dubai for the first time ever. So I was still on the sand and I was in this job interview. So what I had done was I focused on all the things that I wanted to say, all the things I wanted to put across, all the questions I wanted to give them to let them know that I am the best candidate for this job. I forgot to research the company well. And so I'm in this interview and the man asked me, so, based on our website, what is one of the workshops that you think could be of the most impact for young people? Oh, so, workshops. Yeah, workshops. So, of the ones in your company? He said, yeah. He said, just give me one or two. One or two. Yes. And then I said, you know what? I can't remember. I can't remember. Because no worries. You know when they did a high pitch? No worries. I said, this interview is scattered. It's done. Thankfully, I still got to do some of the work with them. But I felt foolish. And I had shown to them that I had not displayed my investment in this job enough. And the worst thing you could do is turn up to an interview with a guest and show them that you're not invested by not showing them you've done the research. And how do you do that? Well, if you go on YouTube, there's this, it's The Big Breakfast and Nicki Minaj. And the clip was too long, so I didn't want to put it, but she'd come to promote her album, and DJ Envy, Charlamagne, they hadn't done the research on what her singles were. So they said, she said, I'm coming up to, you're going to play this song, right? And they'll be like, yeah. She was like, you don't even know what's on the album, do you? He's like, how are you a DJ? You don't even know the song. And she just went off on them. Yeah. Nobody wants to be in that position where you've not done the research. We can answer. No? Go. So, if we're going to research like a researcher, if we're going to learn how to interview like a pro, we have to be like Sam. Who is Sam? Sam Brannan, big boy, you know this thing. Sam Brannan, in the 1848 Californian gold rush, during a gold rush, sell shovels. This is what he was doing. So everybody was coming to the region to find gold. They were researching the best places to dig, how far to dig, etc. But Sam Brannan was researching something totally different. He was researching in his area who is selling all the digging materials, the shovels, the spades, the water pans. He researched all the people that were selling it in the area. Just as it was bubbling, he went to everybody and bought them out. I'll take all your supply. He took all his savings, I'll take all your supply. Next shop, I'll take all your supply. Next shop, I'll take all your supply. Till he became the #1 supplier of digging materials in that area. 4 million a month, the equivalent in 1848, 4 million a month. Why? Because he chose to research in an area that nobody was looking at. All right, so during a gold rush, sell shovels. When we're researching, we want to spot what is unseen so we can ask what's unsaid. Kelechi in the building, can we make some noise, please? I didn't know you were coming, but thank you for coming. Spot what's unseen so you can ask what's unsaid. He spotted a gap, in a sense, in the market, then able to exploit it, okay? Now, if we're going to research like a researcher, if we're going to learn how to interview like a pro, There's levels to this. Can we say there's levels to this? There's levels to this. If we're going to dig, if we're going to research, let's dig with intention. Welcome, Sammy. Okay? Best way to do this, let's dig with intention. Don't just research. Research like a researching researcher. And the way you do that is you've got to dig with intention, but we dig in levels, all right? Layers. First, memorize their story. What are you talking about? The whole story? No. Everybody has a overarching story. So we did Stephen Bartlett. We know his story. Know that story in your head top. Know it. Inside out. Why? Because when you're searching and researching like a researcher research, when new information comes through, you're able to spot it. Oh, I didn't know that. So someone might say, he went to university and then he graduated and then, hold on, ooh, easy. I just found some information. He studied for 2 years but left. Instead of finishing, he left and went to go and start a business. Why? We use that as our hook. Now we've got another hook. Like I said in the beginning, the more hooks you can find, the stronger investment you bring to the conversation, the greater the return that person gives you, and then the greater value you're giving, to your audience. So memorize that story. With Kelechi, I had to research like I'm researching. Or when somebody says, "Oh, how did you come up with your rapper name?" It's on Google. We're going to research like a researcher. If we're going to interview like a pro, we need to know that story inside out. So
that does make sense.
Yes.
I guess my question would be, what about your audience that might not have
One,
the...
two. One, two. No.
What about your audience that might not have heard that part of their story when
Okay.
you need to ask about it?
I'm glad you said that. The best way to combat that is don't ask them, tell them the story. So I'll give an example. What university did you go to? You know the answer. It's on Google, but like you said, we're trying to give something to the audience. But it's on Google. We're trying to, there's levels to this. So I'm going to tell you. You went to Cambridge University and you studied engineering for 2 years. You dropped out in the 3rd year and you went to start your own business. How come? In that, just that whole sentence, I've told the audience. And I've also told that guest that I know your story. I know it inside out. Do you know what I'm saying? I know your thing. And I'm so invested in it, I'm not even gonna ask you that. But this thing here, that nobody's kind of talked about, I'm gonna be like Sam, and I'm gonna dig in there. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, I think, because you can go to 4 free interviews online, and you will hear the answer, and people can do it. But to research like a researcher, to interview like a pro, we're coming already with that information. I know this, I'm telling you the story, and I'm gonna pull out from that story things I want the audience also to know. The second layer is you spent time getting your hooks. You spent time finding your hooks. But when we're researching, we want to scaffold our hooks now. When I say scaffold our hooks, what I mean is that one of my hooks is to find out what triggered you to start a business, okay? And I want to know why. So what I might do is I will scour the internet, YouTube video upon YouTube video, article upon article, and I'll find one thing, and that will be my scaffolding. And so I approach the conversation like this. You started your business in 2016, I see. And there was a tweet that you mentioned in July 2022, and I quote, "Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta." What did you mean by that? I'm scaffolding my hook. So this not getting just standing on its own. I'm bringing things to give context. Things that you've said, things that you've talked about before. I'm bringing context to it. But you've got to research, you've got to dig to find it. All right? Then we're going deeper. We're almost at the third level. We want to learn their TOV. What does TOV stand for? Tone of voice. All right? What do I mean by learn their tone of voice? Anybody? Their vibe, yeah. How they speak. What are the things, like we talked about Stephen Bartlett, what are the things that they continuously talk about? What are the themes that continuously, I want to know this because we're trying to research like a researcher, because by the time I interview you, I need to know this off head. I need to be in your mind. I know the flow you're going to take this, okay? So if I think of Stephen Bartlett, I'll think of business, entrepreneurship, personal development. I'm like, okay, cool. Once you know that, you get the choice whether you match it or you subvert it, okay? Once you know that tone of voice, you can either choose to match it. Okay, I'm gonna talk about mentorship. I'm gonna talk about entrepreneurship, businesses, how to be a success. Or you can subvert it. You can throw that away and say, I'm not even gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about sport or what's his favorite team or whatever it is, to shift away from that. So that again, when somebody is scrolling on YouTube for an interview and they click on yours, they're like, right, you know what? I didn't know that about him due to you knowing his tone of voice, okay? And lastly, we want to observe their interview behavior, okay? Observe their interview behavior. I'll give you 2 examples. First one is probably, what's his name again? will.i.am. Observe their interview behavior. will.i.am, he's a creative being. Like, creativity runs through his system. So if you observe his interview behavior in interviews, you can ask him one question, but you're going to get like 15 in that one question. Da, 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 da. And you know, once, da, 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 and if you haven't studied that, it will throw you. And you will lose control of the conversation because he doesn't even realize it, but he has dominated it through his interview behavior. So I would know that, okay, if he is like that, it does not make sense for me to create 15 questions I'm going to ask this guy. I need 3 killer questions that are going to draw out for him value to give to that audience. Only 3, because he will talk for a good 15 minutes per question, okay? We are digging with intention. First layer, memorize their story. Thank you. 1, 2. First layer, memorize that story so that you know when new information is coming in and you can pick holes in it. Scaffold your hooks. Really give credence to your hooks. Learn their tone of voice. You know, another example I'll give for observing their behavior is, and I'll probably show it actually, but Oprah. Oprah is very reflective. She's able to go there quickly, very quickly. If you asked her, you know, what part are you, where are you in your life at the moment? How do you feel? She'll dig deep into her self-reflection and she'll bring it up very easy. But what if your audience is not like that? What if your audience can't take that? So you've got to be aware of what is their interview behavior. Some people are very, who is it? Jay-Z. Jay-Z is evasive. Evasive. Just go and watch all these interviews way back when they would approach him with the idea of Beyonce. Just the mention of her name, just the mention of marriage, he would duck, dive. So it doesn't make sense you going into an interview, think, oh my gosh, I got an interview with Jay-Z, I'm gonna ask him about his wife. Now he's a bit more free, he'll free up the energy a little bit. But nobody can say that they would get to the heart of that guy because the wall is walling. The only person he will allow that to is Elliot Wilson, who he has a close relationship with. So this is how we dig, this is how we research like a researching researcher, okay? But if we're digging, where are we digging? All right, where are we digging? So many places, okay? These are the places that I dig. My first point of call is Facebook. Do you know why? Who uses Facebook here? Exactly, that's why I go there. We're like Sam, we go where the people won't go. Facebook, because when we started to use Facebook back in the day, we didn't have Instagram. So what everybody does now on Instagram, people were doing that on Facebook freely. Hey, this posing, everything was just there. I just went to Arizona. And so if I want to research like a researcher, I go Facebook and I go back. I'm talking first picture. because you will find so much information. Who was I interviewing? Who was it? I think, was it Bianca Saunders? Someone, and I didn't know that they'd gone to America and went to an American camp. I didn't know that. It wasn't in interviews, it wasn't out there. But my friend Facebook, he had a picture of the person in the camp, it had the date, and I brought it up. I was like, you went, again, you tell them the story. You went to a summer camp in 2016. I was like, really? Like, I didn't know about that. What did you learn from that? And the person was like, you see the face. Facebook. YouTube is definitely, you right? Want some water? Okay, you want water? YouTube, 100% YouTube, yeah, I don't even need to say. However, be like, don't just watch the video, read those comments. What? There is gold nuggets in those comments. Why? Because people ask questions. There's people that are so infatuated with that person that they spot things that they've not answered in the video. And rarely do you find, the guest will go back into the comment section and say, oh, this is what I was talking about, or answer that question. So you use that as a hook. Someone might say, what, you went to university and da-da-da. Why? What did you study? They didn't say it in the video, you bring it into your conversation. LinkedIn, haha. Who's on LinkedIn here? Good. Even more people are getting hit to it. LinkedIn, you can research like a researcher. Why? Because depending on the person's profile and how detailed they make it, you can dig backwards. And you dig backwards into their, you'll see the university they went to. You see the degree that they studied. You can see where they've worked. And again, we bring that into our conversation. You did a degree in this. Have you ever pursued it? They might have done fashion and never ever touched it again. What would you call your fashion line? Would you design for men, women? And then you're tweaking a part of their person that they might have actually suppressed. You're in the corporate world now. And you can spark something in them. You know what? Years ago when we had that conversation, I was never thinking about fashion, but you made me think about it a bit more. X or Twitter. That place is a gold mine. Oh my days. And I'll show you an example. It takes a lot of work, but the digging, what's the time on the rollie? Okay, 7:30. Okay, it's not rolling, don't worry. But you can do your digging there. Obviously, there's things that people have deleted because they know you better delete that stuff, right? But there's things that people say in the moment of pure vulnerability and open honesty and transparency in that moment, and they let it out to the world and they leave it there. That you can gather and be like, on this date, you said this, what were you going through? It's a mad conversation because they then, in their mind, they go back and they're like, that was what it was. You're recalling thoughts from the past that they left, but it gives insight to who they are. I'll speed up. MySpace. Who's still got a MySpace? I did an interview with, you see, you didn't remember the icon, yeah. I did an interview with Shanice Sharway, and through MySpace I was able to find her tag, her street tag, when she was like a teen. And from there was a picture that we were able to use and put into the PowerPoint. And she was just like, what? Where did you find that from? Well, we're trying to research, like a researching researcher. And we kind of pulled apart what that name represented for her, especially in that time. What did it mean to you? And it was interesting. Instagram, of course, again, I'm going to the first picture you've ever posted. I'm scrolling, my finger is hurting, but I'm going to that first picture and I want to know what you said. Spotify, podcast, type in the person's name and you'll just see everything, anytime that they've done an audio and it's been uploaded, it's there. Things that are swinging back and you get to hear what they were saying. Now remember what I said about memorizing their story. This is a good way to memorize somebody's story. Keep just listening to their podcast episodes. Or when they've been interviewed, shall I say. Because they'll say the same thing over, because the person will answer that question. but you'll be able to pick out things you can ask them. And lastly, what's this one represented? Word of mouth. People. Where you have access, and it's in the right way, learn about them. If you have a connection to somebody who has a connection to them, what are they like as a friend? Sometimes in the interview, we'll have people in the audience, and I would have prepped that person, but I didn't tell the guest, oh, I know you're a friend. Oh, what type of friend is she? And you're getting to learn so much more about that person that you couldn't dig and find online.